In Gaza's Nuseirat refugee camp, a significant operation is underway as a bulldozer, surrounded by armed individuals, digs into the sandy soil. This activity is part of the broader process of complying with the terms of the US-brokered ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel. The primary objective of this operation is the retrieval of the bodies of 3 hostages that Hamas is obligated to hand over as part of the terms for the temporary truce. The situation in Gaza has been tense since the truce was enacted, with reports from the Hamas-run health ministry indicating that at least 312 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire since the ceasefire came into effect. This continues to add to the already overwhelming human toll of the ongoing conflict, which has left thousands dead and injured. The ceasefire deal, which was brokered by the United States, has managed to halt the most intense fighting temporarily. However, the exchange of hostages and the handling of bodies are crucial components of this agreement, and both sides are under increasing pressure to fulfill these conditions. As part of this process, the bulldozer in Nuseirat is seen digging in the sand, with armed individuals closely monitoring the operation. The footage from the scene depicts masked figures overseeing the work, ensuring that the terms of the ceasefire are being met. The search is taking place under intense scrutiny, with both the local population and the international community following developments closely. The remains of the 3 hostages are being sought as a crucial element of the truce, and Hamas has yet to hand them over, causing additional strain on the delicate ceasefire agreement. In the images captured, the bulldozer digs persistently, with individuals from the armed group walking around, some holding weapons, while others appear to be going through the dirt, possibly in an attempt to locate any remaining personal belongings of the hostages. The masked individuals can be seen standing guard as the machinery continues its work, pushing the dirt aside. While the efforts to recover the bodies continue, the humanitarian situation in Gaza remains dire, with many families caught in the crossfire of the ongoing conflict. The ceasefire deal, although temporarily halting large-scale hostilities, has not fully addressed the underlying tensions between Hamas and Israel. The exchange of hostages, including the bodies of those who have been killed, remains a significant issue. In the footage, the armed individuals can be seen moving carefully around the site, ensuring that the search for the bodies is thorough. The tension is palpable, as any delay or failure to meet the terms of the ceasefire could lead to the collapse of the fragile peace agreement. Meanwhile, the broader humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues to escalate. The violence that has unfolded over the past months has taken a devastating toll on the civilian population. Gaza, which has long been under blockade and siege, faces significant challenges in terms of basic needs, including access to medical supplies, food and clean water. The ongoing conflict has disrupted essential services, further complicating efforts to stabilize the region. According to the latest reports from the Hamas-run health ministry, over 300 Palestinians have lost their lives due to Israeli airstrikes and artillery fire since the ceasefire came into effect. This figure adds to the thousands who have already been killed in the months prior. Despite the truce, which was welcomed by many as a much-needed reprieve, the toll on the civilian population is far from over. The situation remains highly volatile, with civilians continuing to bear the brunt of the violence, caught between the crossfire of Israeli military actions and the armed groups operating within Gaza. The US-brokered ceasefire deal, while providing temporary relief, has not brought an end to the conflict. Instead, it has highlighted the complexities of negotiating peace in a region that has been in a state of perpetual conflict for decades. The terms of the deal include the return of hostages, including those held by Hamas, and the recovery of bodies as a sign of goodwill. However, the process has proven to be slow and fraught with difficulties, with both sides accusing each other of not fully complying with the terms of the agreement. As the bulldozer continues its work, the armed individuals watch closely, ensuring that the operation remains focused on the task at hand. The footage captured from the site shows the careful and deliberate nature of the operation, with each move being closely monitored. The workers, while focused on their task, are also keenly aware of the larger political and humanitarian context in which they operate. The operation, however, is just one small part of a much larger and more complex situation. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which has been exacerbated by the ongoing conflict, continues to unfold. International aid agencies have expressed concerns over the worsening conditions in the region, with hospitals overwhelmed by casualties and families displaced from their homes. The international community has called for greater efforts to provide relief to the civilian population, but access to Gaza remains difficult due to the ongoing hostilities and restrictions imposed by both Israel and Hamas. Despite the challenges, the ceasefire deal has provided a temporary respite, albeit a fragile one. The negotiations that led to the truce were difficult and complex, with both sides making significant concessions. The hostages, including the 3 whose remains are now being sought, are central to the terms of the deal. Their return is seen as a key step toward de-escalating tensions and moving toward a more permanent peace agreement. The exchange of hostages, however, is not a straightforward process. In the footage from Nuseirat, it is clear that there are multiple actors involved in the operation. The masked individuals who appear to be affiliated with Hamas are closely monitoring the work being done by the bulldozer, ensuring that the bodies are recovered and the terms of the agreement are met. The armed figures, meanwhile, provide security, indicating the high level of tension surrounding the operation. While the search for the remains is underway, the situation remains tense, and there is uncertainty as to when the bodies will be recovered. As the bulldozer continues to dig, the masked individuals watch from a distance, standing alert as the operation unfolds. The scene is one of intense focus, with everyone involved in the process aware of the significance of the task at hand. The pressure to fulfill the terms of the ceasefire deal weighs heavily on those involved, as any misstep could lead to further escalation in an already volatile region. The ceasefire deal, while offering temporary relief, has not solved the deep-rooted issues between Israel and Hamas. The question of hostages, the return of the bodies, and the humanitarian toll of the conflict remain central to any potential peace process. The situation in Gaza continues to be precarious, and the ongoing efforts to locate and return the bodies of the hostages are just one piece of the puzzle in the search for a lasting solution. In the coming days, the world will be watching closely as the operation in Nuseirat continues. The focus on retrieving the remains of the hostages is just the latest chapter in an ongoing conflict that has spanned decades. The outcome of this operation could have significant implications for the future of the ceasefire and the broader peace process. For now, the bulldozer continues to dig and the armed individuals stand guard as the search for the bodies of the hostages continues. The pressure to fulfill the terms of the ceasefire remains high, and the world waits to see if these efforts will lead to a more permanent resolution or if they will be another chapter in a long and painful history of conflict. The ceasefire, while providing some respite, remains fragile, and the task of rebuilding Gaza and finding a lasting peace will be a long and difficult road. As the situation continues to unfold, the international community remains engaged, hoping for a breakthrough that could bring an end to the suffering of the people in Gaza and pave the way for a lasting peace in the region.